طيب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. This is the fourth lesson from Bab al-Adhaahi min Kitab al-At'imah. The book of foods is the actual book in Bulugh al-Maram, and the subchapter is Bab al-Adhaahi, animals that are sacrificed for Adha or Qurbani. That's a branch of foods, of At'imah. Khairan, inshaAllah. Last hadith that we took, it was the narration of Jundub ibn Sufyan radiallahu anhu with regards to the time in which a person is allowed to slaughter for udhiyah. The earliest and the latest. The earliest and the latest. We explained all of that. The next narration is hadith number 1163 in the English translation. And in the Arabic, the Sheikh Subhi rahimahullah, his print is hadith number 120 or 1270, 1270. The author, he says rahimahullah, وعن البراء بن عازب رضي الله تعالى عنهما قال قام فينا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال أربع لا تجوز في الضحايا: العوراء البين عورها، والمريضة البين مرضها، والعرجاء البين ضلعها، والكبيرة التي لا تنقي. رواه أحمد والأربعة وصححه الترمذي وابن حبان. وعن البراء بن عازب رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قام فينا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال أربع لا تجوز في الضحايا: العوراء البين عورها، والمريضة البين مرضها، والعرجاء البين ضلعها، والكبيرة التي لا تنقي. رواه أحمد والأربعة وصححه الترمذي وابن حبان. Says in English, is narrated by Al-Bara bin Azib radiallahu anhu, Allah be pleased with him and his father. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up among us and said, there are four types of sacrificial animals which are not prohibited: a one-eyed animal which does not, or which has obviously lost the sight of one eye; a sick animal which is obviously sick; a lame animal which obviously limps; and an old animal which has no marrow. This hadith has been collected by Ahmed and Al-Arba'ah, the four. At-Tirmidhi and Ibn Hibban graded it sound. Narrated Al-Bara bin Azib radiallahu anhuma, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up amongst us and said, there are four types of sacrificial animals which are not permitted. Four types which are not permitted. Number one, a one-eyed animal which has obviously lost the sight of one eye; a sick animal which is obviously sick; a lame animal which obviously limps; and an old animal which has no marrow. This hadith has been collected by Imam Ahmed in his Musnad. It has been collected by the four, meaning Abu Dawud in his Sunan, At-Tirmidhi in his Jami', An-Nasa'i in his Sunan, and Ibn Majah in his Sunan. And it has also been collected and thus, or consequently authenticated, by Imam Abu Hatim ibn Hibban rahimahullah in his Sahih, At-Taqasimu wal-Anwa', his Sahih. Ibn Hibban rahimahullah ta'ala, like Imam al-Bukhari and others, they wrote books or narrations which they considered to be absolutely genuine, which they considered, and it was their condition. They made a stipulation on themselves. I'm only mentioning in this book what I deem to be authentic. And Ibn Hibban rahimahullah ta'ala, just like Imam al-Bukhari as well, is min fuqaha al-muhaddithin, or min al-muhaddithin al-fuqaha. He's one of those imams, and there are many of them, who merged the two different worlds together. And that was the world of hadith or athar, and the hadith of fiqh or ra'i, quote unquote. Even though all fiqh doesn't have to be ra'i, but you get the point I'm trying to make. So they make the kitab, the book, and they make the bab, the chapter heading or the subchapter, and that is the fiqh lesson, what he's trying to teach you in this chapter, his opinion, his view, his madhab. his fiqh way is based off of the hadith that he quotes, just like Imam al-Bukhari. And there are many ulama of hadith who did this. And we all know, we've explained that this is the best way of merging the two together. Wallahu alam. So that's what we can find in hadith. So if you were home and you went to read this hadith in its original source, or give a class or khutbah, or write a book or an article, you wouldn't say collected by Ibn Hajar and Bulugh al-Maram. That's wrong. Ibn Hajar didn't collect anything. He compiled it. You would say collected by Abu Dawud. And if you're writing the paper or the article, it is your job to go back to your version of Abu Dawud, whether it's Dar al-Salam or the older translation, and go and look through it and reference through it. Go to the book of Hajj, the book of foods, the book of Sayd, hunting, the book of whatever, wherever you think it is. And of course, you looking through the hadith, for the hadith in its original source, you're going to come across 100 other hadiths, and you're going to get the fiqh of hadith in the process of looking for the hadith. And you're going to see which hadiths go in which chapter and how one hadith can be used in more than one place. Everyone understand this? So, I have Abu Dawud at my house. How do I be a student of knowledge? How can I be a disciple of hadith? Let me do a research on this hadith in Sunnah Abu Dawud. It's a different word than what Ibn Hajar mentions here. Then I go back to Jami' Tirmidhi. What chapter does he have it in? What does Tirmidhi say about it? It's a different version. Well, how can that you understand the different versions of the hadiths? Everyone understand this? So that's where the hadith can be found. Khairan, inshaAllah. San'ani rahimahullah, the commentator of Subul al-Salam, or the commentator of Bulugh al-Maram, the author of Subul al-Salam, he says, وَالْحَدِيثُ دَلِيلٌ على أن هذه الأربعة العيوب مانعة من صحة التضحية وسكت عن غيرها من العيوب. He says this hadith proves the following. Number one is that these uyub, these flaws, these blemishes, these defects, these problems with the animal that you wish to sacrifice prevent the sacrifice from being valid. If you slaughtered a big cow, a bull, a camel, and it had one eye, it lost all of its bone marrow, it couldn't keep up, it was limping and weak, you could eat the meat, but it could not be offered for udhiyah, for qurbani. It cannot be offered for what? For qurbani. Everyone understand this? That's what this hadith proves. Number two, the hadith does not speak about other defects and blemishes. It doesn't speak about other defects and blemishes. In this hadith, it doesn't mention anything about an ear being cut off. In this hadith, it doesn't mention the animal being totally blind. In this hadith, it doesn't mention about the animal being totally skinny. It doesn't mention anything about the animal being mangy or any other issue or problem or disease that can fall upon a sacrificial animal. Everyone understand this? It does not mention these things. The tail being cut off, none of those things are mentioned in what? This hadith. So that's an issue. San'ani rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, فذهب أهل الظاهر إلى أنه لا عيب غير هذه الأربعة وذهب الجمهور إلى أنه يقاس عليها غيرها مما كان أشد منها أو مساويا لها كالعمياء ومقطوعة الساق. So we have two avenues, two routes, two groups of scholars with regards to understanding this text. Group number one says, these are the only four that prevent you from offering as qurbani. The only four. And any other issue or problem with the animal is not included in it being invalid. And the second group of scholars are those who say rather these four and any other four which are equal or worse. These four things and any other issue or blemish or flaw or defect with the animal which is what? Equal or worse. Such as the animal being totally blind, or the animal's leg being cut off or broken or something like this. Everyone understand this? So this is a perfect example, a classic example, a textbook example of the endless war that we have between the two different schools. Those who stick to the prophetic wording and those who look at the prophetic wisdom. Listen carefully. Those who stick to the prophetic wording and those who stick to the prophetic wisdom or look at the prophetic wisdom. And both schools, both sides have their points and have their reasons which justify their position, their rationale. So group number one, obviously, or group A, they're going to say, Well, if it was bad or haram or invalid, the Prophet would have mentioned it. And he didn't mention it. And Allah commanded him to make the balagh, to convey, make the bayan, to clarify to the people, for the people to follow him, to listen to him, to obey him, etc. So if it was anything else besides these four, the Prophet would have clearly mentioned them. Number two, they say it's extremely dangerous when we start adding things to it ourselves. We start adding things to it ourselves. Well, this is a thing like number 4, and this is like number 3. And the next thing you know, we have what? 20 uyub. And all of those uyub may not actually be uyub to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's a cultural ayib. And my culture, if the lamb's head and legs are not 100% black, if it's a spot, then it's ayib. And in your culture, the animal is too skinny. And in your culture, the animal is too old. And in your culture, the animal is too young. And your culture and your view, and where does it what? It doesn't end. It doesn't what? It doesn't end. And obviously that's a problem of making things that are simple and easy difficult and constraint. And it's also i'tida'un ala shara. It is transgressing the boundaries of legislation. The second group of scholars, they hold the view that we cannot just become stagnated looking at the wording. We have to look at the wisdom. Why did the Prophet ﷺ say one animal that's blind in one eye? It's a problem with it. Something happened to it. It's diseased. It was hit. It was wounded. It's not the best offering given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So common sense would tell you an animal that's what? Totally blind. Common sense would tell you that. And the Prophet ﷺ, in these types of hadiths, he would teach us the wisdom. And it wasn't just something which was just sheerly, absolutely dogmatic. But it's a hikmah, an animal that is blemished, whether it's whether it's missing marrow, or any other thing. Everyone understand this? They look at the hikmah behind that. And those ulama who say that the Prophet's words, the Prophets, they use their proofs as well. Allah is wise. The Sharia is based off of what? Hikmah. And the Prophet ﷺ, in so many hadiths, he gives the companions the analytical way of thinking. Don't you have this like that? Then that's why this is that. Everyone understand this? In so many hadiths, the Prophet, he told the companions when a person passed wind in a prayer. And he says, why do you laugh at that which you do? Why do you laugh at that which what? You do. That's wisdom. Meaning you shouldn't make fun of someone for something that you do. And it's not just based off the dogmatic wisdom or dogmatic ruling. Don't laugh at someone when they pass wind. Because you're a human being too. And obviously we have that in our street terminology. You say you act like your stuff doesn't what? Stink. That's the wisdom behind that. Don't be so critical on people or thinking that you're all of that and this and that, because you have what? Problems too. You're human as well. Everyone understand this? The Prophet ﷺ, when a man complained about his child being born and not looking like how he thought the child should look like with regards to skin complexion. And he asked him about his camels. And he says, are there different colors of camels? What are the fathers of camels? How does one camel look darker or lighter than the other one? And he says, perhaps it was one of his ancestors. Naza'ahu irq. Genealogy. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said to the man, what? And that's the case with your son. And there hadith after hadith after hadith after hadith in which the Prophet told the people how to make analytical deduction. Everyone understand this? The Quran says, فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. Don't say uff to your parents. Let alone what? Go to hell. Everyone understand this? Not to stamp their feet. يَضْرِبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ لِيُعْلَمَ مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ. Allah says, let them not stomp their feet and move their feet in a way in which لِيُعْلَمَ مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ, lest a man would see the beauty that they conceal, meaning an anklet or a bracelet or hinna. So if a woman's ankle is considered zina, the hinna on her leg, the gold on her leg, then what about her hands and face? Everyone understand this? So we have a tanbih bil adna alal a'la. The Prophet pointed out the smallest thing to indicate and to show us to pay attention to the biggest thing. So they have their view. What is the correct view? Sometimes the correct way is to stick with the zahir. That's the asl. That's the default. The Prophet wasn't hindered of eloquence. He wasn't weak of words. No one stopped him from saying what needed to be said. But at the same time, he also taught the people to be wise and to be analytical. So the best way is that, and Allah knows best, the asl is the what? The zahir. And you stop there. Unless there is another proof, text, clear wisdom, in which it leads us to what? Making qiyas. All right, in brief, we don't want to get into that discussion right now with regards to Dhahiri, qiyas, jumhur, who are the jumhur, what determines jumhur, so on and so forth. Ijma', shudud, all of those different problematic issues. Now, Khalid, somebody may argue, and they may say that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, al-awra'ul bayinu awruha, the animal which is awra, one eye. I.e., in most cases, the animal got blinded in one eye because of an injury or disease or sickness. And an animal which is amya, which is blind, in most cases could have just been born that way. That an argument can be what? Can be made. That it's made like that, nothing wrong with the meat, and it's blind. Versus an animal that was gored or gashed or hit or whatever the case may be. So they can't argue with that. And the asl is al-dhahir fi nusus. So people say, oh, you're a dhahiri. Every Muslim, every student of knowledge, every scholar is supposed to be a what? A dhahiri fil asl. And you can't say that the asl is qiyas. And the asl is some other type of, that's the asl. Musa alayhi salam, he said to Khidr what? That you've done, jitta shay'an what? He says what? You've done something which is what? Evil. Nukra. Killing this boy, scuttling this ship. Not doing this, not doing that. And Musa alayhi salam wasn't blamed for what? For the dhahir. He wasn't blamed for the dhahir. Because killing someone is outwardly and apparently what? No doubt about that. Scuttling the ship is outwardly what? When I'm saying this, those who refuse to take us in and you do this, you don't take the reward, etc. But Khidr alayhi salam, he taught him a deeper wisdom. But it doesn't show, that wasn't the what? The default. Nabiullah, he based his rulings off of the what? Of the default. And Khidr never blamed him for that. Khidr never blamed him for that. He blamed him for not keeping his pact of not asking questions. Until I tell you. حَتَّى أُحْدِثَ لَكَ مِنْهُ. Allah says what? I tell you what? I tell you what? I tell you. Everyone understand this? That was the problem. Musa agreed to that. Everyone understand this? But it wasn't the fact that the asl of what he did wasn't right. So the asl is in the nusus is what? Al-dhahir. Tibyanan li kulli shay. And if you make the asl of the nusus other than dhahir, you're going to fall into a pool of problems. And you're going to tell us that Allah Azza wa Jalla, He gave us this type of enigma, this type of hidden code, and everything is baltani until proven. That's clearly a what? That's a huge problem. With regards to the Arabic language, with regards to the aqidah, that's a huge problem if you make that. And the asl is the dhahir. Until proven otherwise. And even when there's a certain interpretation of meaning, it doesn't mean that it's laysa ala dhahirihi. Everyone understand this? فَإِنَّ الشِّدَّةَ الْحَرِّ مِنْ فَيْهِ جَهَنَّمْ. Type. We don't go too far in that. What's important is that this issue, you have to have a good understanding of it because it's going to be reoccurring. There's 1,000 issues like this. The dhahir al-lafz versus, or not even versus, but in comparison to the wisdom, the ta'leer. Everyone understand this? Khairan, inshallah. A woman traveling without a mahram. Fadl, Zakallah khairan. Can a woman travel without a mahram in 2019? The dhahir of the text, alaykum salam, is that what? She can't. And one may say the wisdom of the text is that she's safe. She has a car. She has GPS. She has windows. She may be strapped. Self-defense. Allahu alam. Some women may be tougher than what? Men. Beat up men. Beat their husbands up. Beat up a guy in the street. MMA. Knee in the elbow. Everyone understand this? So this issue is going to keep what? It's going to keep coming and coming up. If you don't have a basic understanding of it, let alone a mastery of it, you're going to be what? Confused every time. So, Allahu alam, one could possibly say is that these 4 things are the uyub of the animals, and any other ayib is okay. And another person may say, no, we have to use our common sense just a bit and see this animal is bleeding, this animal was running into the wall, this animal such and such, animal was what? Such and such. A blend and a merge. A what? A blend and what? A merge. Not abusing qiyas. That's the problem, is abusing it. But at the same time, not ignoring its wisdom and its place in the deen. Wallahu alam. Khairan, inshallah. this hadith also shows us the importance of the Adhaahi and the importance of the teaching of the rulings of the Adhaahi. Whereas Bara says, Qama, he stood up, he addressed us, he gave us a sermon, a khutbah. It wasn't a secret thing, it wasn't an information to one companion. He what? Told everyone. I would understand this. He wanted to tell everyone for its importance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, baraka ala abdihi wa rasulih, nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.